Hi, this is Chris from the Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from Political Voices Network.
Let's talk about something we can all agree on: treason. Let's go back to your first book, which seems like 11 billion years ago. You were the only one that warned us that Putin was going to interfere in the 2016 election to help Donald Trump. I keep saying it, Malcolm, it's all one story, but, I'm sure you've seen both of these today. Ukrainian authorities have arrested a controversial MP who was at the heart of efforts by Rudy Giuliani to dig up compromising material about Joe Biden and placed him in pretrial detention. He's accused of collusion with Russia and spreading fake information about Ukraine's political and military leadership, in particular related to claims about supposed Ukrainian interference in the U.S. political process. And then federal agents out here in L.A., Malcolm, raided the L.A. home of an FBI whistleblower who has alleged that the Bureau higher-ups thwarted an investigation into Giuliani. He has said that Giuliani may have been compromised by Russian intelligence while working as a lawyer for Donald Trump. Again, all one story, but talk to us about your reaction.
Full circle.
Yeah.
It's like we're all back in August of 2016, isn't it?
Yeah.
But my favorite part of all of these stories, first, let me talk about the Ukrainian element.
Yeah.
For all the corruption that they used to have in Ukraine, when I was over there, that was out the window. I mean, people are literally dying. They're losing their family members. They are cracking down on corruption. They actually have a anti-corruption bureau that has the ability to go above any government agency and hunt down where people are taking kickbacks and payoffs. And they've been regularly arresting people inside Parliament, and governors, military people who are stealing money, anything that takes from the war effort. So this investigation is hilarious because it's precisely what Donald Trump ordered Zelensky to do against Joe Biden. And Zelensky was like, we don't have anything against this guy. And now they look back into it, and lo and behold, all of those Giuliani trips, according to some reports, he was accepting money. Money was being exchanged at these meetings. And, the Ukrainians, like I said, they have the ability to go over the prosecutor general and find out from these pro-Moscow politicians just exactly how much money changed hands. Paul Manafort had taken millions of dollars from the pro-Moscow government in Ukraine that was toppled by people power and brought Zelensky to power. So Giuliani, you think he's not going to get his cut? Oh, yeah, he got a cut. But that money came from Moscow via Ukrainians that were working for Moscow.
And so this FBI whistleblower has countered GOP arguments that the Bureau was eager to investigate Trump allies but reluctant to look into Hunter Biden. The agent claims the opposite was true. He asserted that, this is to the Senate Judiciary, that FBI agents moved quickly to scrutinize information about Hunter Biden's business activities, even as his own investigation into Giuliani was shut down. Buma, is that his name? In Buma's case, the Bureau's conduct raises special concerns that counterintelligence activities targeting Russian intelligence services were being blocked when they produce evidence that the Bureau considers politically embarrassing. Talk to us about
that. Actually, that was touched upon in the Mueller report.
Yeah.
Where they said the Mueller team specifically could not look at the counterintelligence aspects of the Trump administration. They could not look at whether Donald Trump himself was taking money from Moscow, had been influenced by Moscow, and the report stops dead at that point. Not to mention that the Trump team went after the top two spy hunters, Peter Strzok, head of the spy hunting aid branch of the FBI. So this whistleblower is not surprising. What's surprising is that, he got it out of the Bureau, and that's probably why the Bureau will probably punish him. Right? If you're going to whistleblow, do not steal documents. Do not do things illegally. There is an actual process that'll get you up the chain of command.
Oh, wow. All right. Speaking of all one story, from the, where is this? I don't know if it's in The Guardian. Read how the Kremlin's propaganda has shifted during the war in Ukraine and why the Israel-Hamas conflict is bolstering Putin's anti-Western rhetoric. Again, all one story, right? It focuses off Ukraine, right? Which is why he funded and trained Hamas. I mean, and here we are.
Listen, people, I'm telling you this as a friend, okay? I am telling you this as a professional who just wants people to stay out of trouble. First, you can be all about the Palestinian people. You can go out to protest, marches, do whatever you want, minus turning it into an anti-Semitic rant. Like when you shout, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Well, what you're saying is free of Jews.
Right.
On the other hand, that message is amplified by an enormous machine that is run by Moscow. It is also supporting Hamas. There were PMC Wagner mercenaries that were seen training with Hamas during the war. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard, which sells all of its drones to Russia to bombard Ukraine, okay, and funded, organized, and sent weapons that are being used and captured today to Hamas. If you can't see A, B, C, all right, then you're turning a blind eye to this. These people all are working in the interest of each other. Moscow supports Hamas. Moscow is now using its world megaphone, and many of you your voices are going into that megaphone and are hurting Ukraine, hurting democracy, helping Iran, helping the terrorist group, and not helping the Palestinian people.
Yeah, and Malcolm, I think what you've talked about is just since way before 2016 is misinformation. I mean, there is enough heartbreaking tragedy that the Palestinian people are going through right now without misinformation. I think you've pointed out like some of the fakes, and also that the story that went around the world that, Hamas said, Israel bombed this hospital and killed 500 people, and that went around the world. Right, and it was not it was a Islamic missile. It hit a parking lot. It was not 500 people, but again, that went around the world, and that's part of Hamas's strategy.
That attack kicked off the global outrage against Israel and the Palestinians. It was said to have been 500 dead, the hospital destroyed. Turned out to have been a small rocket that was being fired towards Israel. When they finally found out, it hit a parking lot and it killed or injured 10 to 40 people, not 500. But doctors in that hospital who worked for Hamas came out and said, there are hundreds dead. Look, it is very easy to be taken in by propaganda from a terrorist group. Yeah. And if you don't understand that every aspect of the Palestinian leadership in Gaza is Hamas, the terrorist group. They ran the health organizations, they ran the infrastructure, the administration, which is why all the concrete wasn't building buildings, it was building tunnels, which the Israelis are fighting now. Same thing with the story of the babies in the incubators. I had this big battle on Twitter the other day. Turns out that the Al-Nasser hospital, they said the Israelis had cut off all the incubators. In fact, the hospital staff abandoned 5 babies because there was shooting around the hospital. Soldiers do not shoot civilians. You may say, well, that happened one time in the West Bank. That happened this time with this journalist. That happens, all right? It happens in war. But what we don't do, what soldiers don't do, is come hunting for civilians the way Hamas did in Israel. They're fighting to stay alive. They're not going to waste their precious ammo. And for those of you who say, well, they want genocide, that's not the way the system works. Yeah. Start learning to view this like adults, because you are being suckered by disinformation. Does Israel do disinformation also? Yes, they do.
Well, that's
and
what's
called that out.
Yeah, that's what's hard. There it is, my first drink of the day, Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic. Many of you know my story. I stopped drinking wine for 3 years during COVID, during the lockdown as part of a health reset. Now I drink wine in moderation, but this is an amazing new product. I've always believed in probiotics. And Z-Biotics, check this out. You drink just one of these. It's the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. I am using this and I feel great in the morning. I don't have to worry. If I have an extra glass of wine, I still feel great in the morning. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. I've always had acid reflux problems. It is this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Z-Biotics produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. All I know is it works. It is Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic. Go to zbiotics.com/politicalvoices or scan the QR code on the screen right now.